Hello and welcome. This is Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sheon Okin-Baloye. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of the program. Nigeria's democratic journey hasn't exactly been smooth. From the First Republic to the Second Republic has been one military interruption or the other. But since 1999, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have been in charge at the center. And a major opposition party in terms of political interplays have rarely given the ruling party any serious challenge. But since some political parties decided to merge last year, they have shown some attempts that it may not be the usual game this time around as we approach the 2015 general elections. In fact, the party, APC's major target is taking out the PDP from prominence. The party has 16 governors at the moment and prominent heavyweight politicians across the country, a growing population at the National Assembly. But you know, in Nigeria's politics, well, these hardly pose a major threat to the incumbent. Incumbency has always played a major role in Nigeria's politics, which leaves the question of the capacity of the APC to beat the PDP. Well, again, the APC last Thursday says it is proposing a new Nigeria when it presented its roadmap and party guidelines. When we look at the composition of the APC, and a big question that will come to mind is, do they really mean what they say? The PDP has said the new Nigeria idea of the APC does not answer Nigeria's question in any way. One major question here is, yes, we have political parties. Well, according to Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, she said, we only have political platforms. Tonight, we take a look at the propositions of the APC and the capacity to deliver on it. Are there a real alternative to the PDP? Do we even have any major difference between our major political parties or political players, or they're just same of the same? Well, joining me tonight to discuss some of these issues is a former Minister of Aviation and a former PDP member, so who has now, as they say in Nigeria, ported to the APC. Mr. Femi-Fani-Kayode, thank you for joining us on the program.
Good evening.
Yeah, let me start by asking you, what's your take about the performance of the PDP?
Well, perhaps the way I should answer that is to first ask you, which PDP are you referring to? Is it the PDP of the last 5 years, or the PDP of the previous 5 years when President Obasanjo was in power? As far as I'm concerned, the PDP that we have today and that has been in existence for the last 5 years has been a very sad testimony, or has provided a very sad testimony, and is an example of everything that is wrong with our country. And that is precisely why so many people within that ruling party have now left it over the period of the 5 years and have gone elsewhere. It really has been a tragedy what's been happening in our country.
So you're saying in essence that the PDP has failed?
It's done worse than fail. I mean, PDP failing in itself and on its own is fair enough. I mean, that's good news for everybody. But the greater problem is that the PDP government of the center is causing Nigeria to begin to fail as a nation. And that's what gives most of us the greatest concern.
When we wondered, I mean, this was a party you were part of for so many years. Yeah. Since you came back to the country, you've joined, I mean, especially in the second, when President Obasanjo was about running for second term, you were on his train, and afterwards you were in his cabinet and all of that. And you played a major role. You at least added two ministries. I mean, all of those actually is what we are getting today. If you say PDP failed, isn't that you have failed also?
Well, and that's precisely why some of us feel that, well, we were responsible for the mess that we have and we've had in the last 5 years in this country, simply because we were all in the same party. We were very instrumental in bringing President Yar'Adua to power and also President Goodluck Jonathan to power as president and vice president respectively, and of course later President Goodluck Jonathan as the president. And it's precisely for that reason, because we were parts and parcel of those that brought him into power and played a key role under the leadership of President Obasanjo, that we also have a duty to ensure that they're no longer in power next year, simply because they failed. They failed us that put them there, they failed the Nigerian people, they failed themselves, and they failed the very offices that they represent. And I can tell you why. I mean, you know, because I'm not one of those that just says these things for the sake of speaking. I mean, you look at the facts and the figures.
All right. Just before we go in depth, I mean, it's interesting that you said, I mean, the party has failed. Of course, I mean, when we know that you are a major player in that party. This is a party the president says he's trying to fix, and a point in time where a ministry like the Minister of Aviation, which you headed, was in a mess. I mean, what exactly are you trying to tell Nigerians now? Because they are looking at you as a man who headed a ministry that is part of a major achievement of President Jonathan.
Well, you know, first of all, I'd be interested to know what the facts and figures are in terms of major achievements in that ministry or in any other ministry. And I'm always very reluctant to talk too much about ministries which I have headed or criticizing my successors in office, simply because I feel, unless it's absolutely necessary, then I'll do so. But I feel that it's a little bit unfair. I know what it's like to be on that seat, and the last thing you need is a foreign minister on your back. But having said that, I really would be interested to hear what these achievements are in any of the ministries, indeed in terms of the country. We need to look at the facts and figures. Let us not be you know, in any way misled by all this fanfare and all this clapping for themselves and so on and so forth. My concern, and of course, let me also say that the greatest pleasure that I could ever have is for the PDP or for the Goodluck Jonathan administration or our successors in office to succeed. I mean, that would give me immense joy, because we all have a stake in this country. But when we speak and when we say these things, we're not saying them for fun. We're saying them because we are deeply concerned about the direction in which this country is going. And it's incumbent upon us as leaders to speak the truth and speak to power and come out with the facts and the figures.
The truth that you're talking about,
Yes.
some Nigerians will want to ask, is the fact that perhaps you were played out, and maybe because you're not in the family any longer, that's why you're crying for
first
out.
of all, we left. They didn't play us out.
But people have a feeling that you were part of the problem.
Let me then use this opportunity to clarify this for you and those that you say think like this. We left simply because we felt that we simply couldn't effect change from within. Now, the thing that most people would do in my position or in the position of others that left would be, okay, let's play along. Let's be part of the party. Let's get whatever goodies may come our way. Or let's just keep quiet and ensure that being part of the ruling class will continue to benefit. They offered us everything under the sun. Some of them even told us that, well, some of the issues that we're facing may go away if only we would stop criticizing the government. Some offered us key positions in the government over a period of time and said, listen, if you do this, play ball or keep quiet, we will give you whatever you like. But some of us are not made like that. Some of us are not like these people that are ready to compromise. We believe in truth. We believe in building Nigeria, and we believe that when we've established a legacy, that is the Obasanjo legacy, which I'm very proud of. I was a spokesman for 3 years. I know the facts and figures inside out for every sector of the economy in this nation at that time, because that's what I was paid to do.
It's interesting you're talking about an Obasanjo government just a moment. It's interesting because, I mean, Nigerians are watching now, going to look at 1999 and 2014. PDP has been in power. This is the wrongs that the PDP has perhaps made when you were in government, and you're talking about achievements.
You are wrong, and I'll come back to that, which is why, in order to help you and also perhaps educate your audience, I'll be able to now come up with the facts and figures and statistics to prove what I'm saying. There is a distinction between what Obasanjo did from 1999 to 2007, which was positive and which literally restored the fortunes of our country, and what has happened since then. And I choose to make that distinction. I will not lump everything together, because once you do that, you miss the point. The PDP of today is a ship that has sunk. It has failed the nation, destroyed the economy, destroyed our security system. This was not the case before 2007. A lot of people had issues with Obasanjo. Many people criticized him for the right reasons sometimes, for the wrong reasons sometimes. But one thing you cannot take from him or from his government is that he recorded immense inroads and immense achievements in virtually all the sectors. And we can go into that. And I think it's important for us to go into that because it's a relative thing. Why is it that we're criticizing? Let me tell you just a few things, just to start with. In 1999, when Obasanjo came to power, this country was $30 billion in debt, okay? We owed $30 billion. By the time Obasanjo finished in office, this country was not owing a penny to anybody. We had wiped out the debt, or he had wiped out the debt. We were debt-free for the first time in our history, and of course, for the first time in the history of Black Africa. On the African continent, it had never happened before. Only Libya had achieved that. We achieved it under Obasanjo in the space of 8 years. Today, where are we? $20 billion US dollars back in debt, and we're still climbing. That is the PDP for you, and that is President Goodluck Jonathan for you. Again, look at our foreign reserves. In 1999, $1.5 billion is all we had in our foreign reserves when Obasanjo came into power. By the time he left office 8 years later, we had 47 billion US dollars in our foreign reserves. Today, what do we have? We have less than 30 billion US dollars in our foreign reserves. That is PDP for you, and that is President Goodluck Jonathan for you. Excess crude account. In 1999, there was no excess crude account because it didn't exist. And of course, this is the account that was created to keep surplus inflows from our oil and gas sales. There was none. Obasanjo, if I may finish.
I appreciate what you
okay, because it's
but,
very
just
important.
Just a moment. I appreciate that you are reading out these statistics.
No,
but
I'm not reading them out. They're in my mind.
Okay, now, just a moment.
Crude one, if I can just round up on that, then we can come, because I'm in the midstream of it. 0 in 1999. By the time Obasanjo left office, he built that account up to 24 billion US dollars. Today, we have less than 2 billion US dollars inside that same account. These are just 3 areas. And if you're talking about fiscal discipline, if you're talking about doing the right thing in terms of the economy and so on and so forth, you have to show thrift. And that is how we won the respect of the international community when it came to handling our economic affairs and so on and so forth. It has not happened since that time, and I think that's a point that nobody can refute and no one can take away from Obasanjo.
It's interesting because a lot of people will actually not agree totally with some of your positions, but the fact remains that...
No.
Just a moment, if I may ask you this.
If I may say this, because it's important. This is not an opinion. These are facts. They should do their homework, do their research, go and cross-check. It's not government propaganda. These were irrefutable facts that have never been disputed by even Obasanjo's worst critics at that time.
All right.
And I'm saying today, the facts I've given you about where we are today in terms of the economy and the numbers, nobody has refuted it, nobody can refute that.